He says that he looked and looked in all of the books. There's one hadith that comes from Imam Hussein. They come mainly from Imam Muhammad Baqir and Imam Shahadat. Why was this? This was because during the time of Imam Hussein, the propaganda of Bani Umayyah was so bad that vilifying the Ahlul Bayt became the norm, that people paid no attention, people paid no heed to Imam Hussein, nor to his father Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib, nor to his brother. The propaganda of machine of Bani Umayyah was so powerful that they were able to cover and hide who the Ahlul Bayt were. After Bani Umayyah was overthrown, when Bani Abbas came, the people of the scholars, big scholars, Muslim scholars of Damascus, when they came, when they were questioned about why were they supporting Bani Umayyah, they said, we didn't know who else to support. They said, didn't you hear that the Holy Prophet had a daughter by the name of Fatima who married Ali? They swear to God that we did not even know that the Prophet had a daughter. We have all heard that when Imam Ali was killed, with the people of Sham, people of Damascus, they were asking, what was Imam Ali doing in the masjid? Imam Ali is not a person to be in the masjid to be praying. How was he killed in the masjid? And this was due to the propaganda. This was due to the widespread cursing of the Imam and the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Salawat ala Muhammad wa alayhi. This was the life of the Imam, Imam Hussein alayhi salam. People would not come to him, people would not respect him. Instead, people would come use harsh language against him. But eventually, after the events of Karbala, we see that the people began recognizing who the Ahlul Bayt were. This is why Imam Hussein's sacrifice was so great. One of the important things that we need to do is not only focus on Imam Hussein and the sacrifice he did, but also the results of Imam Hussein's sacrifice. We see the fruits of Imam Hussein's sacrifice come where? Come in the life of Imam Muhammad Baqir and Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. The reason why Imam Hussein, he stood up and he sacrificed his life, why he gave the lives of his children, the lives of his brother's children, of his sister's children, was because he saw that the need of the ummah was to be rejuvenated. And the only way that it could be rejuvenated was through his blood. So that the people can get a shock and they from their slumber and realize who the Ahlul Bayt were. Who were those personalities, who were those individuals with the truest and the most authentic form of Islam. Imam Hussein, he gave his life so that Islam can be saved. That is why in the Ziyarat al-Arba'in we recite, وَبَذَلَ مُحْجَتَهُ فِيكَ. Imam Hussein, he gave his life for the sake of Allah. Why did he give his life? لِيَسْتَنْقِذَ عِبَادَكَ مِنَ الْجَهَالَةِ. To save the people from jahala, from a time of ignorance. وَحِيرَةِ الدَّلَالَةِ. So they would not go astray. They would not become deviated from religion. His blood, when Imam Hussein gave his blood, it saved the ummah, it revived the ummah, it rejuvenated the ummah. We have several hadith which talks about that after the death of Imam Hussein, that the community became murtad. They left Islam. They became apostates. They're not within the fold of Islam. I don't want to get into that because that's a sensitive topic. What type of irtidad is this? Is this irtidad Islami or irtidad Imani? They were within the fold of Islam, but they were outside of the fold of Iman. We have several hadith which talk about that after the death of Imam Hussein. There were no more mu'mineen, there were no more true believers, that they had left the true Iman of the Prophet and his family. Salawat ala Muhammad wa Muhammad. After the death of Imam Hussein, we know that Imam Zain al-Abidin continued this. He went to the people, he taught the people, he elaborated to the people. Why did Imam Hussein go? Why did Imam Hussein rebel? Why did he revolt? Why did he give his blood in such a gruesome manner? Why did he allow his children and his family to be massacred? What a great calamity, what a great crime happened on the 10th of Muharram in the sands of Karbala. Only then, because of the efforts of Imam Zain al-Abidin, did people start coming back to the Ahlul Bayt. Only then did their people realize their foolishness, their cowardness, and their impotence to the Ahlul Bayt. So they slowly began coming to the Ahlul Bayt. They came to Imam Sajjad, they were asking him questions. Imam Zain al-Abidin, the propaganda was still there. It was so bad against Imam Zain al-Abidin. Calling to it. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And this movement, which continued after the death of Imam Hussein by Bibi Zainab and Imam Sajjad, we see that immediately after the life of Imam Sajjad, things began changing. We see the true fruits of Imam Hussein's sacrifice happen in the life of Imam Baqir and Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. We see that the situation and the circumstances completely, they drastically got changed. When Imam Baqir alayhi salam and Imam Sadiq came, the people realized who they were. The people realized these were the grandchildren, these were the descendants of the Holy Prophet. They recognized that these were not just normal people within the community. They were people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given them knowledge, pure knowledge. Their link to the Prophet is direct. It is not indirect. The hadith of the hadith about the Ahl Bayt, their merits, their fada'il, their ranks, people began hearing about these things and began flocking to the Ahl Bayt. All of the propaganda which Bani Umayyah did, it was gone to waste. It was not effective at all. People, when they would come and see Imam Baqir alayhi salam, they would see the manner in which he speaks, the manner in which he talks. They would see his akhlaq. They would magnetize it. Prophet, then Prophet's akhlaq would be this from Imam Muhammad Baqir. This is the way that he held himself. This is the way his character. The two Imams, Imam Sadiq, they were able to solidify the position of the Ahlul Bayt in the minds of the people. They were able to show who the true Ahlul Bayt are, who are the true adherents of the Prophet and his message. And so the entire culture of the Muslim Ummah changed from hatred and from dislike towards love and affinity towards Ahlul Bayt. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And this resulted in a golden opportunity for the Imam Baqir and Imam Sadiq, for them to express their knowledge, for them to express that divinely endowed knowledge which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them. That's why Imam Baqir is called Baqir. Baqir means the one who splits. Imam Baqir, when he speaks, that which is hidden, that knowledge which is hidden, it comes out, it is apparent, it is seen. That's why we call him Baqir al-Ulum, not Baqir al-Ilm, Baqir al-Ulum, the splitter of knowledge, because the knowledge which is not visible, which is not seen, which is not among the people, Imam Baqir would bring it out and explain it to the people so that they would understand. Delegations of people from all over the Muslim Ummah. Most of Imam Baqir's life, he was in Medina. And we know that people, when they go for Hajj, usually they go to Medina, they go give their salams and the ziyarah to the Prophet, and then they go towards Makkah for the Hajj. When they would go to Medina, one of the things that people wanted to do was to go and see the grandchild of the Prophet. They want to go and hear a hadith which he narrated from his father, who narrated from his father, who narrated from Imam Ali, who the Prophet. And so this Imam, we find that among all the A'immah, this Imam was unique because he's both Hassani and he's both Hussaini. He's from the line of Imam Hussain because his father was Imam Baqir, his father was Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, Imam Hussain. But we see also his mother. He's Hassani from his mother's side because his mother was a daughter of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. So this is the Imam known as both Hassani and Hussaini. And so therefore all the Imams which come after him come from this line of Imam Baqir, who is Imam Hassan, from the line of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. What I want to explain, so I tried to give a sort of a background of what happened, what the situation was, what type of circumstances Imam lived in. Now what I want to do right now in this next part of the speech is I want to explain that what was the responsibility of the Imam. One of the responsibilities of the Imam is reformation, is to do islah, is to correct, is to rectify. Imam, we know that he guides towards the haqq, he guides towards the Quran. One of his responsibilities is that whenever a deviation, whenever an inhiraf, something which causes people to become astray from Islam, Imam has a responsibility to rectify that, to resolve that. Inhirafat, deviations, they can be of many types. But three types which I want to talk about and discuss in the life of Imam Baqir alayhi salam is one, inhirafat al-akhlaqiyya, those ethical deviations which happen. Sometimes a person, they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they believe in the Prophet, they believe in the Quran, but we see sometimes they have some ethical issues. They have some immorality in their behavior. They use vulgar language. They do not speak in a manner which they should be speaking to other people with. They may not treat their wife nor their children in the right way. They may not treat their co-worker in the right way. These are called akhlaqi inhirafat. Those inhirafat, those deviations, which pertain to a person's character, which pertain to a person's morals. One of the other deviations which exists is social deviation. This is, for example, disunity of the society. When we have social classes, when we have poverty, this type of inhiraf, this type of deviation is on a collective level, on a community level. When people within the community, they go and they support the oppressors, they support the wrong people, they go towards the wrong people and gain knowledge from them. The third type of deviation is theological deviations. Deviations which pertain to our aqaid, to our beliefs. Somebody questions, does God exist? Did Prophet really give the final message? Is the Quran a book from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is there isma? Do we believe in the inerrancy and the infallibility of the Imams? This is called inhirafat al-i'tiqadiyya. Those deviations which deal with aqaid, which deal with belief and concepts. For example, the Day of Judgment. Is there a Day of Judgment? Will we be raised up? So I want to discuss how did Imam Baqir alayhi salam discuss these three types of deviations in his life. The first one, akhlaqi, moral deviations, ethical deviations. Imam Baqir alayhi salam, he would spend his life and he would explain to the people what their weaknesses are. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in mankind certain inclinations. Some of those inclinations deal with the physical world. Some of those inclinations deal with the spiritual world. Those inclinations which deal with the spiritual world, with the physical world, like eating, drinking, reproducing, these are all there, and these are Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed them there for a reason. But the problem that people get into is that they drown in these inclinations. They become obsessed with these physical inclinations, and thus they forget those spiritual obligations that they have. What Imam Baqir alayhi salam used to do, he used to encourage them that yes, you have these inclinations within you, but do not drown yourself in them. Do not become deceived by them. Abandon those wicked ways. Stay in moderation, I'll bring the hadith where Imam talks about that. And in this way, he would do Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahi anil Munkar. Abu Baqir, one of the companions of Imam Baqir as well as Imam Sadiq, he used to be a teacher, and he used to be a teacher of the Quran. He says that once I was teaching a Quran class to a sister, and in that class I joked with her in an indecent manner, in an inappropriate manner. After this ended, I went to go see the Imam, and when I went to go see the Imam, Imam Baqir scolded me and reprimanded me. He said, "You are a teacher of the Quran and you're joking like this with an al-mahram?" He said, "These are ethical problems, these are ethical issues. You cannot teach the Quran and engage in these type of things. If you consider yourself a mu'min and a believer, you cannot engage in akhlaqi issues." Imam says that if someone sins like this in this manner, Allah will not bless that individual. No matter you go and you teach the Quran, you memorize the Quran, you give tafsir of the Quran, if you engage in these immoral practices, it has no benefit for you. Abu Baqir says that after the Imam scolded me and reprimanded me, I put my head down in tawbah and asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive me. And I put my head down in shame because the Imam scolded me. Sometimes one another, we get scolded maybe by our wife, maybe by our friends. But when the Imam reprimands us, Allahu Akbar, that is something which goes to our heart. Abu Baqir, he says that as soon as Imam started scolding me, I put my head down out of shame and humiliation. I could not look at the Imam anymore. And this is how the Imam used to rectify these acts of immorality within the people. He sought to remove those evils and those weaknesses within the people, and instead replace it with chastity, with purity. And he called the people not to chase your worldly desires. Be moderate. Don't go to an extreme. Seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is eternal. Don't seek these temporary, these short-lasting, these temporal desires which will eventually not satisfy you. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The second type of inhiraf and deviation, and perhaps one of the most important types, because I mentioned earlier that after Imam Hussein's death and his killing and massacre in Karbala, that the Muslim Ummah became murtad, they became apostates. Now Imam has a responsibility to build that Ummah up, and this deals with social deviations. What type of deviations happen within the society? Imam, he emphasizes throughout his life that the community should be united, that there should be strong ties and strong bonds within them. It should not be disunited, and there should be no competition within the community. All of us, we're all on the same side. We're all going in one direction. And this is the area which Imam worked very hard on. He sought to establish what is a Shia identity, and what a Shia community is, and what the type of bonds among the community members, how it should be. A companion of his by the name of Sudair, he comes to Imam Baqir and he narrates from Imam Baqir that Imam Baqir asked him, and he said, "Oh Sudair, do you free a servant every year?" Sudair replied, "No, I don't free a servant nor a slave, not even once a year." So Imam Baqir asked him, "What about every month?" Sudair said, "No, not every month." Imam Baqir said, "How about every year? Do you free a slave?" Sudair said, "No." Imam Baqir said, "Subhanallah, why don't you free a slave?" He said, "Shall I tell you the easiest way that you get the thawab and the ajr and the reward for freeing a slave? All you do is take one of the hands of one of your Shia, bring it to your home and feed him. I swear to Allah, by Allah, this act is better than feeding a slave. That to feed one Shia, not even a faqir, but a Shia, a believer in the wilayah, in the imamat of the Ahlul Bayt, take him to your home and feed him. That act is greater than freeing a slave." Imam, why is he emphasizing this? He's emphasizing this because of the social bonds which we should have between us. Another companion, Abu Ismail, he narrated that I went to go and see Imam Baqir, and I told him that in my area there's a lot of Shia, there's a lot of adherents and believers of the Ahlul Bayt. So Imam Baqir, he asked him, he says, "Do those people who claim to be my Shia, to be Shia of the Ahlul Bayt, do they help one another? Do they assist one another? If they are in need, do they go out of the way to help them?" He says, if someone does something wrong in that community of Shia, of believers, if someone does something wrong, do they forgive them? Do they overlook their flaws, or do they hold grudges? Do the Shias in that area, do they cooperate? Do they work with one another? Do they try to achieve a common goal? Abu Ismail, he says, no. They, unfortunately, the things that you're describing, the Shia in that area, they don't engage in. Imam Baqir, he says, then those are not my Shia. If they do not do these things, if they do not help one another, if they do not forgive one another, if they do not build the ties and the bonds of the community, then they are not my Shia. They are not my Shia. A true Shia is one who does all of these actions, who builds the community, who develops the Shia identity. The Imam, the way he attributes a Shia is that they look after one another, they support one another, they assist one another, they don't abandon one another in hardship and in difficulty. Imam Baqir is taking pride that I am a Shia. I'm a Shia of Imam Baqir, the Amir al-Mu'mineen. Imam Baqir went to him and said, don't say that. Don't say that you're a Shia. He says, you have money in your pocket, but your preference is that you spend that money on yourself. If you want to know who a true Shia is the one who goes and spends money to help his brothers. A real Shia is those who spend money on others before they spend money on themselves. Don't say that you are Shia. Don't say that you are my follower. Say you love the Ahlul Bayt and hope that perhaps, maybe their love will save you. But you are not a true Shia if you prefer to spend money on yourself and not on others. One of the things Imam used to do was he used to gather the Shias, and whenever the Shias used to come and see him, he used to ask them, he used to question them. He said, what are your activities? What are your problems? What are your challenges? What are you doing in the community? He would encourage them, gather, meet, talk about the problems, talk about solutions, talk about your future in the community. In a hadith, he says, do you gather and do you discuss with one another? Imam said, by Allah, that I love those gatherings in which you come together, in which you discuss, in which you talk, in which you socialize, in which you discuss your problems. By Allah, the fragrance, the breeze of those pure gatherings, I love them and I wish I could be there among them. Allahu Akbar, the Imam, he wants to be in those gatherings which his Shia get together and talk about their issues, their problems, their challenges. He says, a fragrance comes which I long for, which I yearn for, which I wish I could be among you and take part in those. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. All of these things that I've been mentioning, these are things that we should be striving for. Making the bonds within the believers strong, overlooking the flaws, not holding grudges, helping one another, assisting one another. We should refrain from those things which disunite us, which tear us apart, which divide the community. When it comes to the center, we give our lives we commit and dedicate our lives to the center. There's no personal agenda when it comes to the center. There's no promotion of myself or my teachings, or it is only khidmah, it is only service for the Ahlul Bayt. The third type of deviations, theological deviations. These are deviations which I mentioned, deviations in beliefs and concepts in aqaid. We see that one of the problems that happened in the Ummah was that this movement of ghulu started entering the Islamic community. The idea that, na'udhu billah, that Imam Ali is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or Imam Ali, he's greater than the Prophet, or Imam Ali, he has certain characteristics, rububiyyah, he has characteristics of Allah's lordship. These things, they were there during the Imam's time. This is not a recent phenomenon. This has been there since the time of the Imams. These things, we do not believe in them, but we reject these things. A group of Shia, when they came to see Imam Baqir salam, he advised them, be moderate in your religion. He says, don't have a ghulu. A man by the name of Sa'd, he asked the Imam, what is ghulu? He says, Ju'iltu fidak. What is ghulu? Tell me, what is the meaning of ghulu? Imam said, when people say those things which we do not say about ourselves, they are not from us. This is how harshly Imam condemns such people. Those people who engage in nusayri, ghulu, who exaggerate the maqam and the manzila of the Ahlul Bayt. Imam says, they are not from us. They are not from us. They are not our Shia. And we are not from them. On the Day of Judgment, we won't come and help them. They have abandoned us and we have also abandoned them. Then he continued, he said, by Allah, swear to Allah, we Ahlul Bayt, he's talking about himself, the Ahlul Bayt, the A'imma alayhim salam. He says, we can only get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by obeying Allah and carrying out His commands. So if you want to get closer to Allah, the only way you can do that is you must obey Allah and His commandments. So that if you do those things, if you obey Allah, if you do your wajibat, if you stay away from those muharramat and from those haram things, then your love will have some effectiveness. But if you have our love and don't do these wajibat and just praise yourself and say you're among the Shia, then that will be completely ineffective. Those of you who love us but who do not obey Allah, the love in their hearts will have no benefit for them. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ali. Imam, what is he trying to do? He's trying to purify their beliefs. He's trying to purify their concepts that they adhere to, that they believe in. If you believe in the A'imma alayhim salam, believe in them in the right way, the way that they want you to believe in them. Don't concoct an idea in your mind and say, this is how the Ahlul Bayt are exaggerating their maqam and their manzila. Actually, by doing that, you're lowering their manzila. Because they are appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by exaggerating, by saying these false things, by coming up with and saying these, sometimes even some of these silly things, they're actually insulting towards the Ahlul Bayt. There was a story that a companion of the Imam by the name of Abu Khalid, the Imam invited him to his house. Subhanallah. The Imam, may we all be guests of Imam one day. This companion, he was called by the Imam, and the Imam said, come to my house for breakfast. Abu Khalid said, I went to the Imam's house, I had food. And he says, I never ate more pure and more delicious food in my life. The Imam asked him, how was the food? So Abu Khalid, he recited a verse, ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ, that a day will come where you will be asked about your ni'mah. This is the companion who gets invited to the table, to the sufra of Imam alayhi salam. He talks the Quran, he speaks the Quran. When Imam asks him a question, he replies by giving a verse of the Quran. The Imam, he says, asks him, Do you know what this verse means? Do you know what this verse that you recited, ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ is? The Imam said that what is your na'im that you will be questioned? He says the questioning on the day of judgment will be about your beliefs, about your concepts, about your aqaid. What do you believe? Do you believe in the wilayah of the Ahlul Bayt? Do you believe in the imamat of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib? Are your aqaid, are your beliefs, are they based on the truth? Are they deviated? Are they based on the truth? Or have they gone astray? Think about this, reflect about this, rectify your aqaid before you die. You will be asked and you will be questioned about them. Imam Baqir, he had hundreds, perhaps even thousands of students who used to come to him and gain knowledge from him. Those star students, those important students, those students who really excelled, Imam would say, go. Those people who are against Taqlid, they should read this hadith. Imam would say, go. Ijlis fi Masjid al-Madina. Go and sit in the Masjid of Medina. Wa aftin nas. Aftin nas. Give fatwa for the nas, for the people. Imam, they would come to the Imam, Imam would teach them, they would learn from the fountain of Ahlul Bayt, and the Imam would say, go into the masses, go into the masjid and give your fatwa. Teach the people. فَإِنِّي أُحِبُّ أَن يُرَى فِي شِيئَةِ مِثْلُ. That I love that somebody like this, who learns the ulum Ahlul Bayt, goes into the masses and teaches the people. And this is how the Imam, how he struggled to remove those deviations, those things which led the people astray from his life. He made sure that the right people are accessible. He trained students, told them to go out, he sent them to different parts of the Muslim empire, tell the people who the Ahlul Haqq are, tell them who are the rights of Ahlul Bayt, speak to them about the proper ahkam, how to be proper practicing Muslims. One of the things he emphasized a lot was he would go and tell the Shia community to go and learn, gain education, gain knowledge, seek insight, study science, study math, literature, history, all these things. What the Imam wanted to do, if you want to truly build a community, if you want to truly build a society based on haqq, the only way to do that is by gaining knowledge. He wanted to imbue this idea and embed this idea of seeking knowledge within the community, because he knew only through knowledge could the community advance and develop. He would encourage them to go seek knowledge. It's narrated from him that he said, "Inna jami' dawab al-ard," all the creation, all the animals of the land, لِتُصَلِّ عَلَى طَالِبِ الْعِلْمِ. They pray and they worship, they pray and they give their salutations on the one who seeks knowledge. حَتَّى الْحِيتَانِ فِي الْبَحْرِ. Even the animals of the sea, they pray for the one who goes and seeks knowledge. Study as much as you can, gain knowledge, attain as much degrees and as much knowledge that you can get. Imam Baqir, is narrated from him, he says, Al-hikmatu dhalatul mu'min, that wisdom, hikmah, knowledge is the lost property of a believer. فَحَيْثَمَا وَجَدَ أَحَدَكُمْ ضَالَتُهُ فَلْيَأْخُذَهُ. Go and seek it, spend your lives in getting knowledge. Wherever there is knowledge, struggle to go and get it. This is how concerned the Imam was for the Shia of the Ahlul Bayt. This is how concerned he was for the Shia community. What is their state going to be? These are things which are relevant for us. He wanted us to live lives which are clean. He wanted us to live lives in which we are pure. Even there are hadith which he narrates from him. He says, don't ever be when it comes to your religion, when it comes to doing what is right. He says, keep yourself clean, keep your ideas clean, keep your mind clean, keep your actions clean. When it comes to the center, keep the center clean. There's a hadith which is narrated from him. He says, إِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ وَالْحُورِ الْعِينَ لَتَشْتَاقْ إِلَى مَنْ يَكْسَى الْمَسْجِدِ. That we all, inshallah, we all yearn and long to go into Jannah. But who does Jannah long for? Who is Jannah waiting for them to come to Jannah? This is the one who goes and cleans the masjid. Imam is emphasizing what? The social aspect, the place where we get together, the place where we gather, the place where we assemble and congregate. That should be a place which is clean. Salawat ala Muhammad. This is how the lives Imam was spent, learning, teaching, spreading the teachings of Ahlul Bayt. He would go far and wide, disseminate the ulum of Ahlul Bayt. Day and night he would struggle to bring Mustaqim. And Imam's life is filled with these lessons which we can learn, which we can implement in our lives. For 57 years he was able to be a guiding light for the Ummah. Despite all the lies, despite all the fabrication which is spread about the Imam, they were not able to change the hearts. They were not able to lower the status of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. The enemy, they could not stand the light of Imam Baqir alayhi salam. The tyrants, those people who spread these lies, when they would see who the Imam really was, and when the people realized who the Imams were, they had to scheme and conspire to end the Imam's life. Imam, he lived through 5 Umayyad caliphs. The only one who did not torture him was Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. And we know that during the time of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, that Fadak was also returned to the Ahlul Bayt. It was given back to Imam Baqir alayhi salam. Although Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, he was still a caliph of the Bani Umayyah. It's not that as if, he was a good person. If he was a good person, he would have taken the Khilafat and given it to the Ahlul Bayt. That's why in certain hadith, it says, Tal'an malaika Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. That the malaika, they also curse Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. They ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove the mercy from him. Yes, he did. He did some good things. But he did not do a lot of good things. His evil and his wicked acts were less compared to the other Bani Umayyah. But still, he is not one of the true Shia. He's not one of the Ahlul Bayt. A lot of times this idea is that Umar ibn Abdul Aziz is a good person and somebody who we should talk about and praise. No. He gave it back for a certain reason. He knew that the minds and the hearts of the people were changing within the Muslim Ummah. He had to give something. He had to make certain concessions. That's the reason why he gave back Fadak. He didn't give back Fadak because out of Iman or Taqwa. He gave it back. The people were going to start revolting against him. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. During the time of Hisham ibn Malik, this beloved Imam was called towards Damascus. And he left Medina, he went towards Damascus. And just like the previous oppressive rulers, what they used to do is they used to have these gatherings and they used to call their henchmen. They used to come and curse the Ahlul Bayt. They used to curse the Imam right to his face. This happened to many Imams, to many different companions. Imam Baqir, he stands up in Damascus, just like Imam Sajjad, Imam Zain al-Abidin, and he delivers a speech saying, who are you cursing? Do you know who the Ahlul Bayt are? Do you know what the marriage, do you know what the fadail of the Ahlul Bayt are? After he delivered his speech, Hisham ordered him to be put in jail. Just like how Imam Sajjad was put in jail. Sajjad, when he gave that speech, before he gave that speech, he was a captive. But Imam Baqir, he was a free man, and then he was put in jail. But because the people had already changed, he could not stay in jail for that long. Eventually he was released, and then he returned to Medina. In the month of Dhul Hijj, this Imam of ours, he was poisoned by Hisham ibn Malik. This Imam is narrated that for 3 days he was sick and feeble. For 3 days he was on his bed. He could not leave his bed. He could not stand up. This is how much pain he tolerated. Maybe perhaps when he was lying on the bed, he remembered the pain of his father, his grandfather, Amir al-Mu'mineen. Those 3 days, 2-3 days where he lied down on his bed when he was struck by the sword of Ibn Muljim. Not only was he struck by the sword, but also the poison. Maybe he remembered the death. Maybe he remembered because when Imam Baqir, when the event and tragedy of Karbala happened, he was 4 years old. Maybe during those times he remembered the death of his family members that happened in the plains of Karbala. Imam, these 3 days, he was in excruciating pain. The people of the house, they gathered around him, and the children came, the loved ones came up to Imam Baqir. This Imam who was there, who was giving them his final advice. They were doing dua for him, they were reading Quran for him. Imam, he calls his son Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, and he gives him his wasiyah. Imam, he gives him his last testimony. He says, my son, give me ghusl, and give me kafan with 3 pieces of cloth. But Imam also mentioned one thing. He said, before you put me in my grave, put a little bit of water in the grave before you put me down. Let us remember another person on this night who also gave his wasiyah. Muslim ibn Aqil, he gave his wasiyah, but who did he give his wasiyah to? Imam Baqir was fortunate. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, the Muslim ibn Aqil, he gave his wasiyah to one of the most wretched of people. He gave his wasiyah to Ibn Ziyad. It's narrated that when Muslim ibn Aqil was captured and he was brought to the palace of Ibn Ziyad, that there were so many injuries on Muslim ibn Aqil's face that whenever he would go to drink a little bit of water, the blood from his face would fall into that cup. He would say, take the glass away, bring me another glass. Again, he would bring the glass to his face, to his mouth and blood drops would fall into there. Perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed, just like how Imam Hussein died thirsty in the plains of Karbala, that same way Muslim ibn Aqil dies, thirsty and bloody. Imam Hussein, he was hungry for 3 days. Muslim ibn Aqil, oh Muslim, be patient just for a few moments, tolerate being thirsty. And your grandfather Muhammad al-Mustafa, he will quench your thirst. Muslim, he gives his last wasiyah. He says, my last wasiyah is to send a letter to my master, to my Mawla Abi Abdullah Hussein, and tell him not to come to Kufa. The people of Kufa have committed treachery, have committed treason. They no longer support him and they are no longer loyal to him. Tell him to return to Medina. Tell him not to come to Kufa. Ibn Ziyad, he refuses to carry out his last wish of Muslim. Muslim ibn Aqil, he begins crying, he begins weeping. He says, Inni wallah ma abki li nafsi. Don't think for a moment that I'm crying for myself. Inni wallah ma abki li nafsi. ولكن أبكي لأهل المقبلين إلي. I'm crying for those family members of mine who are coming towards me. أبكي للحسين وآل الحسين. I'm crying for Imam Hussein and for his family. He is taken on top of Dara Ammara and he turns towards Imam Hussein and he calls out, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Imam Hussein, the news of Muslims' assassination comes to Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein goes to the camp. He takes Muslim's daughter and places her in his lap. He begins to take his hand and he places it on her head. He rubs her head. The daughter of Muslim, upon seeing this, she becomes terrified. She becomes frightened. She looks into the eyes of Imam Hussein. She said, why are you touching my head in such a way? Why are you touching my head in a way that orphans' heads become touched? What can Imam Hussein say? Let us remember Imam Hussein in those final moments when he's going to his final stand. This horse of Imam Hussein is not moving forward. Imam looks down and to see why isn't his horse moving forward. He sees Sakina at the foot of the horse and she's not allowing the horse to go forward. He comes out and asks, my Sakina, what is it that you want? She looks at her father with tears in her eyes. She says, my father, you remember how you took the daughter of Muslim ibn Aqil and you placed her on your lap. I ask you, my father, take me and put me on your lap and also rub my head. There will be no one to have any rahmat, any mercy upon us. There will be no one to touch our heads. Rather, there will be wild beasts who are running around and they will be stealing our possession and they will be slapping our cheeks and ripping off our earrings. My father, I ask you, my last wish from you is to take your hand and rub my hand, just like the orphans. أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون والمسلمين والمسلمات أنهم والأموات دعبنا وإن إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك على كل شيء قدير. It is the eve of Friday. It is the day, tomorrow is the day where our amal are shown to our Imam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to purify our amal. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to purify our actions. We ask, oh Allah, that when the Imam, he looks at us with pride and honor. He does not look at us with shame and humiliation. We ask you, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to keep us far from all deviation. The deviation which pertain to our character and morals, the deviations which are in our community, and the deviations in our aqaid and belief. We ask you, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to give us a life filled with iman and taqwa. We ask you, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to accept all our amal. We ask you, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of those who are sick, to restore their health. We ask, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of those who have gone and who have passed away, that you send your mercy and your blessings upon them. Let us recite the verse of Ayatul Karima al-Shifa for the well-being and for the recovery of all those who are sick. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أَمَّن يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ أَمَّن يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ من يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. Tomorrow is the day of Eid. We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let not another Eid pass away where we are deprived of our Imam. We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to give us the honor that we can be in the presence of our Imam, that we can listen to the Imam speak, that we can listen to the Imam recite the Quran, we can listen to the Imam recite dua. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma kulli waliyaka al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan salawatuka alayhi wa ala abaihi fi hadhihi as-sa'a wa fi kulli sa'a waliyan wa hafidhan wa qa'idan wa nasiran wa dalilan wa 'aynan حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, कर रही थी लाशाए ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाशाए मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाशाए मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाश ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाशाए मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाशाए मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका या अली कूफे में फिर आई है ज़ैने सैयदा कर रही थी लाशाए मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाशाए मुस्लिम पे या अली कूफे में फिर आई है रोने सैयदा कर रही थी लाशाए मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाशाए मुस्लिम पे ये आप पर जब इब्ने मुलजिम ने किया सजदे में वार हाथ पहलू पर रखे यहाँ आई थी मैं पहली बार आज फिर उस हाल में ज़हरा को है आना पड़ा कर रही थी लाश मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाशाए मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा कर रही थी लाशाए मुस्लिम पे ये कूफे वालों ने इसे मिल कर है मारा या अली लाशाए मुस्लिम है कैसे पारा पारा या अली, जिस्म है सारा मेरे बच्चे का जख्मों से भरा कर रही थी लाश, मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाशाए, मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका। किस तरह मैंने संभाला, किस तरह थामा इसे, क्या बताऊं मैं खड़ी थी हाथ फैलाए हुए। दारुल अम्मारा से जब था लाशाए मुस्लिम गिरा कर रही थी लाशाए, मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाशाए, मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका। कुछ ही दिन में फिर यहाँ होंगी मैं रोती हुई, इसके बच्चों पर चलेगी जबकि हारिस की छुरी। मैं संभालूंगी उन्हें आ कर रुकैया की जगह कर मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाशाए, मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाश, मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाशाए, मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका। दुश्मनी आले नबी से इस तरह दिखलाएंगे, यूं मोहम्मद और इब्राहिम मारे जाएंगे। नाम का भी पास रखेंगे न कुछ अहले जफा कर रही थी लाशाए, मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही लाशाए, मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रहे हैं जुल्म की तफसीर ये चेहरों के नील, कट रही है आज जो दर दर औलादे अकील। है यकीनन ये मेरे बच्चों से उल्फत की सजा कर रही थी लाशाए, मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाशाए, मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका। आप पर जब इब्ने मुलजिम ने किया सजदे में वार, हाथ पहलू पर रखे यहाँ आई थी मैं पहली बार। आज फिर उस हाल में ज़हरा को है आना पड़ा कर रही थी लाशाए, मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाशाए, मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका। बैन थे अकबर जुबाने सैयदा पर बस यही, साथ ज़ैनब के यहाँ फिर मुझको आना है अभी। शाम तक ले जाएगा कूफे से रन का सिलसिला कर रही थी लाशाए, मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाशाए, मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका। किस तरह मैंने संभाला, किस तरह थामा इसे, क्या बताऊं मैं खड़ी थी हाथ फैलाए हुए। दारुल अम्मारा से जब था लाशाए मुस्लिम गिरा कर थी लाशाए मुस्लिम पे ये ज़हरा बुका कर रही थी लाशाए मुस्लिम पे या हुसैन या बर मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु
सल्लल्लाहु अलैका या रसूल अल्लाह, सल्लल्लाहु अलैका या हबीब अल्लाह, सल्लल्लाहु अलैका या खातिमुल अंबिया व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। अस्सलामु अलैका या अली या अमीरुल मोमिनीन।